All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Free. Man, it's so loud and energetic in here. I love it. All right, everybody, I am the pastor here. My name is Ryan. It's good to be with you on another Saturday night here at Free. And for those of you joining us online on the Facebook, the YouTube, the website, your free circles, your sober living houses, wherever you are in the country, in fact, drop us a line. Let us know where you're tuning in from, which state, which part of the world. We love having you part of this community, and you are part of this community. So welcome, 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 welcome to everybody live. We're so glad you're here. Listen, we are a community, if you do not know. We're a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. And y'all join with me in saying it. What's the one thing we don't do here? We don't do shame in this community. You are welcome here, but check your shame at the door because it ain't welcome. We don't need it here. You don't need it here, actually. A few things you might want to know about coming up. We have a couple of opportunities that are still going on. These are drop-in things, so you can drop in whenever you want. The 4 agreements. Where's Noelle? Noelle, just raise your hand. Noelle's in the house tonight. She is co-leading this book discussion with me. It's on Wednesday nights at 6:30 right here at Free. We are also doing our series, our 5-week series on this book. This week we're in week 2. Now to show up to the book study, you can just come. You don't have to sign up. Just come, even if you didn't come to the first 2. Or on Tuesday nights, same deal. You can drop in with D-Dog in the back, Derek. He's doing a discussion group with men, and it's on the New Testament book of James, and it's called James Faith in Action. They're talking all about putting their faith into action. So that's on Tuesday nights right here at Free, 6:30. Derek's in the back. Derek, throw your hand in the air like you just don't care. There you go. See, these are, Drew, are these on the website or app? Okay. They will be on tonight. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, so, there's some things happening here. Oh, look at the people in the back coming in. Welcome, everybody. Not to embarrass you. We don't do shame here. I seriously just wanted to say welcome. A couple other things you want to know about. Jen, where's Jen? Jen's right here in the front. Thank you for organizing so many of the details around this. We're doing a what we're calling Fun Night with Free. We have the flyer on the screen. Y'all, this is just to get together and build connections and have fun together. This is at Main Event, the one in Highlands Ranch, Sunday, July 11th, 5 to 9. Jen pulled some magic and got us a sweet deal. It's $20. That gets you pizza, a drink, like a soda, and important to say in this community. All right? Ding, 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 ding. What's that? Oh, you didn't say anything. Okay. So pizza, a soda, laser tag, bowling, arcade. Man, if you haven't been to Main Event, it's really cool. So 4 hours of fun, $20 per person. You can either Venmo that or give us check or cash, make it out to Free. We've already prepaid for this. So if you want to go, let us know. You need to let us know by July 8th and pay your way. And it's just a simple time to have fun together. What's up, buddy? Nope, no knuckles. No knuckles. So let us know on that. By the way, yes. Look at this. Tech team still needs some help. So if you want to join the tech team, we need camera operators, sound techs, computer operators, live streaming producer. Email tech team at freespiritualcommunity.com or talk to Danny Colella or Drew Bickford. Y'all, they need some help back there. You saw what a hot mess we were last week. Actually, that was just fluke things, but they need some help. A lot is happening in this community, and they need y'all. So if you have that tech impulse in your bones, see the gentleman in the back. Is that all the announcements I have? I believe it is. All right, y'all, how we start in this community every Saturday night is we start with celebrations. We like to celebrate together. We don't ignore the hard stuff. We deal with the hard stuff together. We call them heartaches, but we save them for the end. We start with celebrations, the good things in life. So sobriety anniversaries. I know there's some in this room tonight. Maybe it's birthdays. Maybe it's the good things happening in your life because of recovery, because of letting God into your life. Whatever it is, we want to celebrate it with you. If you're online, drop it in the comments. I say it every week. I know it can feel a little awkward. It feels a little creepy getting real with people in the comments on Facebook or YouTube. Do it, because this community, we are about vulnerability, and I promise you, you're going to get 1,000 people celebrating with you throughout the week. So put it in the comments. We love to hear from y'all. Take 3 minutes. If you're online, drop it in the comments. Give us the celebrations. We'll do our thing here in the house, and then we'll come back. 3 minutes.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go. Got that smile upon my face, 'cause there's excitement in the chase, this I know. Yeah, I'm going for the ride and find myself, I am alive, and I soar. Still I run towards the wind and let the challenge draw me in, 'cause I want more. Oh, we are all looking for adventure. 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 Oh, wake up heart and wake up mind, and see the world is yours to find. And with every passing day there's more, calling you out to explore. Get up and go. There is joy found in the race, and I feel it in the place where I'm free. And I simply can't deny it, that I feel adventure calling out to me. Yeah, we are all looking for adventure. 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 We are all looking for And I'm living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be. Living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be. I'm living free, living free.
Yeah, I saw this, round 2 of Fitness Magazine. So proud of you, Hallie. All right, y'all. Man, we had some good celebrations in the house.
Good stuff online too, what I saw.
For those of you that don't know, this is, I don't know, you want to say who you are?
Oh, I'm Tammy, y'all.
My wife,
Good to be
Tammy.
here with you. Yes,
Wagon
the coffee
Roaster
roaster.
Coffee, yes. Well, you want to take the first one?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Hey, Sarah. She says, my 10-year-old daughter had her first dance competition, dancing with my boyfriend, who is a professional instructor and has 4 years of sobriety. Had an amazing time.
Hey, way to go. Proud
like
of
that.
your boyfriend, Sarah. Thank you for sharing that with us. Brittany says, I'm celebrating a new healthy job opportunity. Brittany, we're celebrating that with you. Thank
Awesome,
you for sharing
Brittany.
that with us.
Steven says, blessed mom, still with us on hospice, 7 months and counting. Every day is a blessed day. Yeah.
Stephen, celebrating with you, brother.
Good to see you, Steven.
The sacredness of it all. Brian O'Brien says, Brian was here last week.
Yeah.
You know what was cool? Can I just say this real quick?
People are saying, my dude.
There has been so many people during COVID that we just met online, but we never saw them. And that dude walked in here this last week, remember? Yeah. And it was like, man, I feel like I know you, but we'd never seen him face to face. So he was here last week. Brian, it was good to see you.
That was
He
cool.
says, I had a big time family reunion this week. It's been 15 years since we've all been together like that.
Yeah, I like
Brian,
that.
celebrating that with you, brother. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, we got a long one.
You get the long one.
Okay, Nancy says, I celebrate my amazing son-in-law, Ryan Johnston.
Our guest storyteller tonight.
Who's 4 months sober today. He'll be the storyteller tonight, and I just wanted to remind him that we love you, and we are proud of you always for your bravery and perseverance. Huge hugs from Japan. God bless you, everybody. That's
Glad
cool.
you're here, Ryan.
That's
Thank
good
you for
stuff.
lifting him up, Nancy. Y'all will meet Ryan here in just a little bit for those of you that don't know him. Shall we stop there? I say it every week. Y'all can continue the celebrations online if you'd like. Put them in. We love to celebrate with you. Just because this time is over doesn't mean you have to stop celebrating. So you can continue the joy. Get the joy on. Speaking of celebration, Noelle, do you want to just stand up for a moment? Is that awkward? It would be awkward to say no to that. You got to come in the camera, though. Noelle just celebrated 10, and you don't have a mic, so you don't have to say anything.
2 years. Nicole has 10 months.
10 years. I was going to give you 10 years.
Well,
2 years sober this week. She made a letter. She wrote a letter to your addiction, letter to her addiction. We've been doing this series for the past few months of inviting people to write a letter to their addiction. Everyone that does this, by the way, says how healing this is. And it is good stuff. And what we've noticed it does, because we are a community who has a mission, it's actually in our mission statement that says breaking the silence of addiction. And so we'll also put this on social media tomorrow and our YouTube page. But I just want to say thank you. Proud of you for 2 years. Here's Noelle's letter to her addiction.
My name's Noelle. My sobriety date is June 24th, 2019, and this is my letter to my addiction. Alcohol. Remember when we first met? I was barely a preteen. You were so harsh at first, burning my throat, causing my eyes to water, and my head to shake vigorously in disgust. Moments later, you followed with a warm, soothing calm, a feeling I found myself chasing night after night and year after year. Our romance was sudden and all-consuming. Remember how quick I fell for you? Remember those wild nights? Together we lived so fast and so free. I was convinced that with you I was bulletproof and that none of the consequences with us would ever catch up to me. Everything between us was a combination of chaos and art. History tends to provide a great love story prior to tragic endings, and this was ours. Remember when I went to college and our bond grew? I began to rely on you for every heartache, every triumph, every moment. It felt like everyone carried you around with them too. You were our secret weapon, our solution to dealing with college life. You would make or break the weekends for me. You determined the fate of my friendships and toyed with my budding relationships. And yet you were a constant, and I couldn't turn my back on you because you never turned your back on me. Remember when I got that first DUI and how I defended you? Defended our relationship? I was a teenager, not even old enough to drink legally. Remember when I would start my workday with you? We slowly started to distance ourselves from others. We isolated because we wanted to. We had all the comfort that we needed between the two of us. I was so insecure and anxious and depressed as I watched the oil market and my life begin to crash. But you were there, and when it was too impossible to tell others, you were there. This is how people cope, I told myself. This is how people get by. Remember that second DUI when I rolled my brand new pickup truck down the side of that mountain near Estes Park? How all 13 airbags in that Tundra went off. The tree trunk that cut through the front cab. Remember how my dog was in the truck and how he had to go to the animal shelter that night when I went to jail. I watched him being taken away in a police car, and I went in another. Alcohol. It's been 2 years since we've spoke last, and as I speak to you now from a distance and with protection, not through experience, there was never a burning bush moment that hit me. It was dozens upon dozens of smoldering twig moments that pushed me to the place where I was finally able to walk away from you. The pain of staying the same became greater than the pain of change. I put you down and I started to feel everything. Every moment, every feeling. It hurt like hell. Fighting demons when you're sober means you're actually fighting them. I walked into the room of Alcoholics Anonymous 2 years ago. I hated it, but I hated you more. The meeting ended and I bolted for the door. My body has never moved so fast. Get me out of this place. I would find another way. I would conquer you with different tools. A woman stopped me and said, "It looks like you need a freaking sponsor." I needed a freaking drink, I thought, but I asked her what a sponsor was instead. She told me not to drink that night and to come back the next day, an hour before the meeting, and we would start reading the book together. What book, I thought. I found out that book everyone was talking about in meetings is casually called the Big Book. I don't go to a meeting now without my big book. And deep within that blue book, there's a small but profound paragraph, and it goes something like this. Now there is a sense of belonging, of being wanted, needed, and loved. In return for a bottle and a hangover, we have been given the keys to the kingdom. In return for you, alcohol, I have been given the keys to the kingdom.
Thank you, Noelle. Thank you for being part of this community and opening up your heart. So, y'all, when we talk about what's happening here at Free and the mission here at Free, and when we talk about this big fundraising campaign that we're doing and raising $600,000, and I know it's a big number, isn't it? When you hear it, it sounds like a big number because it is a big number. And when we talk about that, it's so important to keep in mind that we're not just talking about a building, we're not just talking about a move, though those things are happening, but we're talking about real people in a real world dealing with real things in this community, more so than any community I've been a part of. You all know what it's like to come around each other and to love each other and to lift each other up and to celebrate with each other and heartache with each other. It's good stuff, and it's real lives that are being impacted here. It's about the real faces, the real people. And so I do want to take just a moment and say a word about giving and let you know, remind you, there are 3 ways to give in this community. And the first way to give is to download the app. And I know we're having app troubles right now. You can't download it right now unless you currently have it, but you can give on the app. Or you can go right to the website, freespiritualcommunity.com/give, and you can give there. Or you can text the number on your screen, and it will give you a simple set of instructions. And listen, y'all, if you want to be part of this campaign of our move and getting us into our new space and expanding the mission, because do y'all know you see what's happening here? We're out of space. We literally have one meeting space where we can do a meeting. We don't have places to put all the kids. Look at all the kids in the back crammed in that one room. We're going to have 10,000 square feet, a fully functioning cafe during the day that's open 7 days a week. We're going to have spaces for people to meet, to figure out their recovery together, to do the hard work together. Meeting spaces for other things happening in the basement. And by the way, the big room like this doesn't just hold like 100 of us, but it's going to hold 200 to 250 of us. So, but again, I mention all that as the background of it being about the people. It's always about the people and the mission expanding to break the silence of addiction, because y'all do know we have an addiction crisis, not just here in Denver and South Denver, but all over the nation. And this community is stepping up in big ways. So thank you for being a part of that. If you want to give to this campaign, when you give online, just put welcome home in the memo and we know where to designate that. Thank you all so much. I should give you a little update where we are. We're at $356,000 right now. So you do the math, that's almost 2/3 of the way there. We're over halfway there anyway. And we have all the way through the summer to get this done, and we can do it. The community is moving in big ways. So thank you all for being a part of it. Yeah, did we clap for that? Well, we can clap for that. All right, y'all. We are in the middle, that's kind of the middle, week number 2 of this series, cleverly titled after the book, The Four Agreements. Let's get to it.
To be alive is the biggest fear humans have. The risk to be alive and express what we really are. You need a very strong will in order to adopt the Four Agreements. But if you can begin to live your life with these agreements, the transformation in your life will be amazing. You will see the drama of hell disappear right before your very eyes. Instead of living in a dream of hell, you will be creating a new dream, your personal dream of heaven. Death is not the biggest fear we have. Our biggest fear is taking the risk to be alive.
The second agreement. Don't take anything personally. So here's the deal, y'all. Just a few days ago, actually, man, I laid down in bed and I could not sleep. The problem wasn't that I wasn't tired, but you know how it is when you're tired but you can't close your eyes because too much is going on up here. And so finally a couple of hours go by and Tammy raises out of bed. She says, "Oh my goodness, you're still awake?" And so I could tell I was keeping her up. So what I did is I went downstairs, got out of bed, went downstairs, and I laid on the couch and I turned on the TV. And you're not supposed to do that when you can't sleep. You're supposed to drink warm, hot tea. You're supposed to either pray or meditate or read a book. I turned on the TV. To my great surprise and delight, on this particular channel, they were doing a marathon of this particular show called Why Planes Crash. Have you seen this? If you have not seen it, you all got to watch the show. Marathon episode. So episode after episode, I watched this thing until almost the sun came up. So I now do, by the way, consider myself an expert in airline crashes. That's not totally true, but I think I learned a lot more. And really fascinating stuff. If you haven't seen it, essentially what happens is it's a docu-series, and they track these plane crashes that have happened in our history, and they ask this question in great amount of detail: why did this plane go down? Why did this thing crash? What went wrong? So as I'm watching it, I'm making all kinds of observations that I actually think can be really helpful for tonight's discussion. First observation. Do you know, like, rarely does a plane go down because of just one mistake made? It is almost always a series of mistakes that creates the crash. Like, never did I see, at least not in any of the episodes I watched in my marathon where I couldn't sleep that night, none of the episodes were like, "Oh my goodness, can you believe it? He just forgot to put in the fuel." Plane went down. None of the episodes said, "Oh my goodness, things were going great until the pilot forgot to put down the landing gear when they were supposed to land." None of that happened. It was always a series of mistakes or events that led to the plane going down. Now, here's what's fascinating. Do you know why planes stay in the air, like when they're supposed to? Which is reassuring, by the way, right? I mean, your plane stays in the air when it's supposed to. Reassuring. I don't know the statistics, but it's somewhere around 99.99999% of the planes that stay in the air. Do you know why? Because millions of dollars have been spent. Multiple agencies have spent countless hours determining what exactly the pilot should do should things go awry. You know why planes stay in the air when they're supposed to? Because that pilot has a whole host of checklists if things start to go wrong. For some of you, your plane called life, your life, it just keeps crashing and you can't figure out why. You keep crashing and burning, and you can't figure out why. And so what do? This time you're going to grab the steering column even tighter and tighter, and you're going to hold on, and no one's going to take this thing from you because this time you're going to do better. Or what do? This time you are going to control all the other planes in the air because controlling them has a way of, you think, protecting you. You think it's going to control them, protect you from crashing. Or what do? You start judging all the other planes in the air. Meanwhile, your plane's going down. You're starting to crash. You judge all the other planes in the air because you can't stand it that they're flying and you're not. And nothing is working. You just keep crashing. Or worse, you have become so terrified that you're not dare going to try to get up in the air again. You're just going to stay grounded from now on. You see, and I can't help but wonder, how would things be different if we had a checklist to follow, some systems in place when relationships started to suffer? When your feelings get hurt, what systems are in place? Would things be different? When those wounds that have been created throughout your lifetime, when someone comes along and touches them with their salty fingers, what checklists and systems do you have in place, and how would your life be different if you actually used them? But see, before we get there, let's talk for just a moment about what your life looks like when you actually get off course, when things start to go awry. Because it all leads to the second agreement, which, remember, this is from Don Miguel Ruiz in the Four Agreements. The second agreement, and according to him, your life can quickly get off course when you begin to take things personally. So, second agreement, don't take anything personally. Here's one of the things he says early in the chapter. We'll throw it on the screen for you. He says, whatever happens around you, don't take it personally. Using an earlier example, if I see you on the street and say, hey, you're stupid, without knowing you, it's not about you, it's about me. If you take it personally, then perhaps you believe you are stupid. Maybe you think to yourself, how does he know? Is he a clairvoyant? Or can everybody see how stupid I am? You take it personally because you agree with whatever was said. As soon as you agree, the poison goes through you and you are trapped in the dream of hell. And by the way, if that poison is flowing through you, what do you think is flowing out of you to other people? Yeah. And y'all listen, I will give this disclaimer. Feels like I got to do a disclaimer every Saturday night. Let me give this disclaimer. We're talking about the hard stuff here. I do not, when it comes to taking things personally, I do not have this stuff nailed. I wrestle with it probably in some of the very similar ways that you do. This is the hard stuff. If it were easy, we wouldn't have to talk about it tonight. We could skip this chapter, right, and go to the assumptions, but those are just as hard. We'll get there next week. This is the hard stuff we're dealing with. It's why we have to talk about it. And when that poison is going through me, I get busy judging everybody around me, and I'm trying to take the speck out of their eye. When that poison is flowing through me, you know what it tells me? It tells me not only are they wrong, but they're stupid too. They're just wrong and stupid. You see, it's interesting because there's this, and we've talked about it here before a few different times. The Sermon on the Mount. Remember this? It's found in Matthew's Gospel, chapters 5 through 7, 5, 6, and 7. It's kind of Jesus' bread and butter when it comes to his teachings. That's why we need to visit it often. Chapters 5, 6, and 7, and it's about this. It's about compassion and generosity and non-anxiousness and non-violence and grace. It's about a new way of living in the world. And right in the middle in chapter 6, Jesus says, don't worry about your life. I mean, don't worry about tomorrow. He says each day has got enough trouble on its own. He talks about food and possessions and paying the bills and essentially all the things that keep us up at night, all the things that keep us tossing and turning, all the things that keep anxiety in circulation. He talks about those things and he says, yo, don't worry. And it's not in a trite sort of way, but dude, look at the birds in the sky. Come on, man, if I'm taking care of them, if I care for those. Look at the lilies in the field, he says. Man, if God is caring over those, do you believe, do you actually believe, for those of you new in recovery, Or for those of you struggling in your sobriety, do you actually believe that something greater and bigger than you is holding you together, sustaining you? Jesus is teaching us how to commit ourselves to the care and trust of God. And by the way, he wasn't into hypotheticals. It was very practical advice for a bigger perspective on your life. It's about living with less anxiety and more peace, less worry and more calm. Come on, who doesn't want that? And then at the end, he transitions, chapter 7. Jesus shifts from you to the unhealed you. The you who deals with everything personally, the you who then deals with that stuff and how that you treats other people. And he drops this wisdom bomb on us, and it's one sentence. Culture knows this, by the way. This isn't just a Christian thing anymore. We say this culturally. Remember it? Chapter 7, verse 1. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. Yes, simple. Simple, isn't it? Because when that poison is running through us, and I'm taking everything personally, and that plane starts to crash and things are going down, what do? We grab on and we hold tighter. We start trying to control all the other planes around us. We start judging everyone around us, even though we are crashing, and it somehow develops a sick form of self-preservation, doesn't it? Lou, y'all know Lou? Big Lou? Mm-hmm. He's not here tonight, but he's an active member of this community. Been clean and sober, I think, for 12 years. Lou, if I'm wrong on that and you're watching, you can correct me later. I think he's got 12 years under his belt. And Lou tells the story of what it was like when he first got clean and sober, when he was first came into the rooms of recovery, and he would come in and take his seat, and he would cross his arms, and he would start judging everyone around him. Y'all don't know how to do life. You look at you sitting in this room, you don't know how to get your life together. Meanwhile, Big Lou, being a grown-ass man, is sitting there living in his parents' basement, can't figure out how to stop putting crack and booze into his body. But yet we love to judge other people when we think it is somehow going to save us, don't we? And by the way, that word krino, it's a Greek word. Keep in mind, the New Testament, it's written in Greek. That word krino, it means to judge. So when Jesus was talking about judging, it's this word, and there was 3 meanings to this word. And the first one is like a legal setting, like what you'd find in a courtroom. And the second one is about to make a decision. So in some sense, you are constantly making judgments in your life. You made a judgment to come here. You're going to make a judgment to go home or wherever you go after this. You're constantly making judgments in your life. But the third meaning, maybe the most fascinating, maybe the most interesting for purposes here, it's that thing that happens when you lower another person in order to raise yourself. It's that self-righteousness at the expense of others, which is why Jesus went on to say this. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's or sister's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye, the log? How can you say to your brother or sister, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there's a plank in your own eye? And he's relentless on this point. You hypocrite. First take the plank out of your eye, and if you need to keep judging, then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother or sister's eye. And this is Jesus using this big, over-the-top language to make a point. You see, if you are living with all of this anxiety about what they said about you, or what they, she, he did to you, and you think it's all about you, and you're going to take it personally, well, what do? You try to control other people. Here, let me take the speck out of your eye. I can't get too close because there's a log coming out of my eye. But you try to control other people as a way of avoiding your own issues and your own pain. See, as long as you can focus on judging them, you don't have to do the difficult work with yourself, do you? And listen, that cruel thing that was said to you, when they said that, well, you're not valuable in so many words, when they said, man, you're just a loser, you're a nobody, you don't belong here. Someone told me just last week that their dad said to them as a kid, the world would be better off without you here. When those things are said to you, you do know it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them and something that's lacking within. It has nothing to do with you, but how you interpret it. Or in other words, what you do with it. Well, yeah, that has everything to do with you. What you do with that is totally and utterly up to you. You see, I think what Jesus is saying here is don't focus on the flaws of others as a way of avoiding your own issues. I know it's hard stuff, right? Man, because I love to focus on other people. As we say in the rooms, I'm good at taking other people's inventory. It's mine that I suck at. Don Miguel Ruiz said this also in a chapter. He said, when you take things personally, you feel offended, then you feel offended, and your reaction is to defend your beliefs and create conflicts. You make something big out of something so little because you have the need to be right and make everyone else wrong. And see, I think all of this stuff we're talking about for 5 weeks, it all has this question in common, and that is, do you want to be right, or do you want to be in right relationship? And there's a difference, isn't there? When you walk away from that situation, is it important for you to be right? Or is it important for you to be in right relationship? Is love important? That's what it's asking us, right? Love for yourself, love for others, love for God. So my brothers and sisters, what do you do when someone offends you? What do you do when they say something about you that ruffles your feathers? It hurts your feelings. What do you do? How do you not take it personally? And I get how it works, man. You're flying high. Life is going good. Then that comment is made, or that email is received, or that text message, or that conversation is had. Ouch. And the plane starts to go down, doesn't it? The crash is near. So 4 things. And we'll just breeze through these. 4 things that you might want to consider adding to your checklist so that you don't crash and burn. Number 1, allow people's opinions of you to surface your own insecurities. See, we have to realize that whatever it was said and it bothered you so deeply, it's because they were touching a wound, weren't they? Their salty fingers got on your wound and it hurt. And that wound is sensitive. That wound carries some baggage, doesn't it? That wound carries some insecurities. And it hurts when people touch it. And one of the questions you can ask yourself is, what is this saying to me about my need for healing here? What's it saying to me? Number 2. Man, this one's hard. Accept criticism. But y'all do it with boundaries. Ask yourself this question. This is boundaries. Does what they're saying to does what they're saying to me have the potential to put me on a better path? Now, y'all, I'm not talking about those backhand snide remarks, those backhand comments or snide remarks that are made, and you walk away and say, well, now, I mean, it put me on a better path because I know what I don't want to be like. I know who I don't want to be like in the world. Not talking about that. That's a good discussion, but it's for later. I'm talking about, does what they say to you, does it hold any value? Does what they say to you, that criticism you received, does it have the power and potential to put you on a better path and make you a better person in that situation? Because that will determine how you behave in the world. Number 3, deal with your resentments. That's a hard one too, isn't it? And let me say this, if you battle addiction, if you are an addict or alcoholic, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous tells us this business of resentment is infinitely grave. We found that it is fatal. This is deadly stuff we're talking about. You see, holding on to those feelings when you just shove those things deep down inside and you say, we talked about this last week, oh, it's so little, I don't need to deal with this one, but it's bothering you and it's keeping you up at night. Man, this is the stuff that'll kill you. This is the stuff that if we don't deal with it, at some point, it may lead you back to the very things you were hanging on to. It may lead you back to the drink. It may lead you back to the needle. It may lead you back to the drug. Because why? When you're holding on to those things, it closes you off to the things of God. Or as the book says it closes us off to the sunlight of the Spirit. So what do? We get these things on paper. Yeah, literally, get out a pen and paper. Write these things down, whether it was people, situations, institutions, whatever these things are. Name your fears in it. What are you scared of? Name your fears. Find your role in it. What role did you have in this? And y'all, don't try to do this alone. I know we said, well, I'll just make this list and go through them. In my opinion, in my experience, you are not equipped to deal with this stuff on your own. You suck at it, actually. You have to go through it with another person, someone who loves you, someone who has your best interest at heart, someone who is willing to journey with you. Go through this hard stuff with another person. And along the way, pray this prayer because it's beautiful. It comes from Psalm 139. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there's any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Man, that's a good prayer, isn't it? That'll keep you honest. And fourth and finally, let love be your starting place. Love for self, for others, for God. Easier said than done, isn't it? When you got those resentments going on, when you've been hurt or wounded, you don't want to start with love, do you? I want to start with revenge. I want to get them back. I want to let them know I'm right and they're wrong. But see, we're less likely to take things personally when we model the love that God has shown us so continuously. If we model that grace in the world, we're less likely to take it personally. You know, at every wedding I do, every wedding I officiate, I always read this particular passage. It's not limited to this passage, but I always read this one, and they're words from the Apostle Paul in the New Testament to this church in the ancient first century city of Corinth. So it's a letter to them. It's called 1 Corinthians. And he talks a lot about love, and I think he nails it in this one. And here's how he says it. He says, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. And let me close with this. It was just this week when Tammy was in the back roasting some coffee beans, and a young man walks in and says, what's this free thing all about? And I just got goosebumps thinking about that. What's this free thing all about? And she was busy. She was on a time thing. She didn't have much time, and she says, I can say it real simply. Grace is always free. God's love and grace in the world is always free. And you know what he says? I've never heard that before. And you know what he told me the next day? He said, man, your wife was here yesterday and she told me that this free thing is about grace is always free. And he said, I want you to know that saved my life yesterday. And for those of you in sobriety, you know what we mean when you say it saved my life. It's always free, never to be earned. If you have to earn it, it's not grace, it's something else. It's not love, it's something else, isn't it? Because love always wins. So take 60 seconds. 60 seconds. What would you add to the checklist? when things start to go awry, when a plane starts to go down? What things would you add to keep you afloat? What things do you have to keep you in the bumpers, to keep you in the air? Put them in the comments or take 60 seconds and just reflect. Close your eyes if you'd like. This time is yours. We'll see you in 60. All right, well, I do see some new faces here in the house tonight. If you're new with us, I should tell you that one of the things, I think a lot of things make this community unique. One of the things that makes this community unique, and we've done it from the very beginning. And by the way, do y'all know it was 3 years ago today we started in our backyard. It was our very first gathering in our backyard 3 years ago today. And the reason I know that is because it came up on my Facebook memories 3 years ago today. We had bagpipes. Someone came with bagpipes and played Amazing Grace. Do some of y'all remember this? Oh my goodness. The neighbors were totally freaked out by us. It was awesome. One of the things that makes us unique around here is we always, every Saturday night, we have a guest storyteller. We've had it from the very beginning. Someone to share their experience, strength, and hope with the theme that we're dealing with on that particular night. So tonight, it's obviously Don't Take Things Personally, which is why I cannot wait for you to meet my friend. Many of you know Ryan. My boy, my friend, not my boyfriend, just my boy, my friend. Ryan Johnston is in the house, and Ryan is, I'll say a few words about him before he comes up. He and his wife, Kiara, have been a part of this community for about 3 months. He's been sober now for 4 months. Listen, we were meeting right on the back couch there just a few days ago, and I said, dude, been coming here for 3 months. What's this community meant to you? He said, dude, this community is like, it's my community. It's what I have in my recovery. This is home for me. And I was like, dude, that's the good stuff. Ryan is also second petty officer. How am I saying that wrong? Ryan's in the Navy. He serves in the Navy. So we're grateful for his service. And he's been part of this book discussion and our last book discussion when we did Tattoos on the Heart. And man, when he talks, he's just, I want to listen to it. And he shares from his heart. He shares from real experience. And he's working this thing of recovery. And so I'm so glad to have you here, Ryan. Will y'all help me welcome Ryan Johnston to the table? I think you're on. No, he's not on. I turned you on.
All right, there we go.
There you go. There you go.
We're out here.
All right. Ryan, my man, welcome, dude.
Hello.
Glad you're here.
Thank you.
So, sometimes things just go in other directions. But I'm gonna stick to some notes here. How's that?
You can do whatever you want to do. How about that?
He told me I could do that. He said, you have permission to take this any direction you want.
It's better that way. Yeah.
Well, it could be, but I want to stay with some of my notes. Man, what else I love about Ryan is, speaking of a different direction, he considers himself this beautiful term I'd never heard it used before, but recovering atheist.
That's right.
And we might get to there if we have time. I would love the way how you describe how God is active in your world, because I think it's profound. So don't let me forget to come back to that point.
Okay.
But before we get there, you were saying to me, and I thought it was a really great way how you explained it, that you were profoundly unhappy with your life, but you didn't have any blame or responsibility for it. You were blaming the Navy. You were blaming society. You were blaming politicians. You were blaming the world. And you said, I had a resentment towards life. Tell us about how that works. And tell us how that works in addiction, how it feeds the addiction.
Yeah. It's kind of like a feedback loop, how it goes. So I kind of just like looked at every problem in the world and I saw it as that problem. And I just kind of was like you put when you're talking about the planes, is looking at the other planes and judging their movement. And I was like, it should be going this way. And I got resentful for the world for, in my mind, giving me my problems, making things harder. I didn't understand why society made everything harder for people. I didn't understand why the Navy made everything hard. It was just awful. I was in a rut, and the only thing that I could do to like quench that anger was I thought was drinking. And I mentioned the feedback loop because I really think that whatever you have inside you, you see it out there.
Yeah.
And you just kind of like nurture it again and again. You see it out there, you grow it, you spit it out, you see it more, and it comes back, and it just continues that way. And I just was a very, very bitter and spiteful person.
Yeah, and sometimes I ask our storytellers this question, and just to give people an understanding, because people who aren't alcoholic or don't battle addiction, they're always like, come on, Ryan, why can't you just stop? Don't you know taking a drink is not going to solve your anger?
Yeah.
Tell us, just explain to people how that works up here.
Yeah, for me, I just wanted to not be sober. I didn't want to see the world. I didn't want to see all of it. I needed to get out of it. I needed to get out of myself and give me whatever means to feel anything besides what I was saying. So a lot of people would say, like, yeah, like you can just not drink. And in my head, I was like, I don't want to be sober ever.
Yeah.
So that's how I justified it.
Yeah, and some of you in this room, you know exactly what he's talking about, right? You identify with that. I just don't want to be sober. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to see the world. It hurts too much.
Yeah.
Speaking of, tell people about your relationship with your dad. And
Yeah.
I know that's like, whoa, easy, Tiger. Like, that's an intimate, personal question. But it has so much to do with taking things personally. And tell us.
Yeah, I didn't realize it until way later that it inferred a lot of the spite that I had. So I never had my father in my life, and I had the knowledge that he knew I was being born and chose not to be there. So as a young adult, I kind of took just this general unworthiness like with me. Like, he chose not to be there. Why? And all those questions led to me needing validation from other people. I needed to find my worthiness outside of me because I couldn't rationalize someone leaving me, you know? So, yeah, I think that like carried over to like taking a lot of things personally and being spiteful in a lot of ways, because I started, you know, blaming the world for the conditions that would lead a father to leaving. You know, I extended it to rationalize it in my head. So
Yeah, and it always, we talked about this, you and I, last week, that for me at least, and for many of you that I know, it always leads to shame, doesn't it? Any Enneagram 4s in the room? Any Enneagrammers in the room? Some of you are like, what in the heck is he talking about? 3? That makes totally makes sense.
What are you talking about?
We'll talk about it later. If you're not into the Enneagram, what I've said just did not, a number 5? Any 4s? Raise your hand if you're a 4. Am I the only 4? All right, I'll be the only 4 in the room. For the rest of you, go take an Enneagram test.
I am thoroughly lost.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry, dude. Back to you.
Yeah.
To you. But
I'm taking it personally, man. I need you to.
when we take it personally, I think, in my experience, it always leads to a place of shame.
Yeah.
And I get that's a big deal, like your father. But I can even take way smaller deals. The one comment someone said to me in passing that had no personal thing to do with me, but I will take that and I'll go to sleep with it and I'll wake up with it. And then before I know it, it's, why do I suck so much?
Yep.
Why aren't I I'm not worthy of this life. You know?
I used to look at other people that had healthy, like, both parents and a healthy father, and I was jealous and spiteful, and I took that personally. And I'm like, that's why they're doing better than me. That's the reason.
Yeah.
So, like, even those things, you know?
So here you are, 28 years old.
28, yeah.
28. Why I think that's just so awesome is because I really wanted to get sober by 30 and I couldn't do it. I got sober right at 30, but I wanted to do it in my 20s so I could, I don't know, I just thought that sounded cool. Here you are doing it, getting
Yeah.
sober at 28. And, man, what's it been like? I know, and it's only been 4 months.
Oh, man.
And yet it's been 4 months. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And what's it been like dealing with your resentments? Because you said, man, it has a way of liberating me. My life is becoming. And I think that's important language.
Yeah.
Becoming, not have arrived, but becoming liberating. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I just, you know, not blaming the world around you and kind of like forgiving it and being empathetic for it, you know, is brought so much peace into my life all the time. Whenever I take something personally, I have the mindfulness and the focus to like sit there and to like breathe and be like, you know, the world is working the way it needs to. The Holy Spirit's in action in me. The universe is bending the way it needs to. And I don't need to be affected by anything. I have the choice not to be affected by anything. Because now I gave up on control. All I have is choices. And that's more empowering than anything. Because I can just choose to be peaceful. I can choose to breathe and exit a situation. And I can choose love. Because when you mention that, it's true. I saw getting rid of my resentments change people around me. It changed my relationship. It made it better. It made my friendships better. And I just think it kind of rubs off. Like, getting rid of your resentments kind of shows other people how to get rid of it too in a very unconscious way, I think.
It's healthy boundaries that you're demonstrating.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
We don't just hold on to resentments here. We actually deal with them. We talk about them. So we go to those places. By the way, Kiara, I'm so glad you're his wife because he needs you.
Me too.
He said glowing things about you and what you meant to him in sobriety. So good on you. Before we go, by the way, if you have questions for Ryan online, you're on Facebook or YouTube or the website, put them in the comments. Show him some love on there because, like we say every week, man, it's hard. It can be like a little nervous to come up here and just share the depths of your heart with people, and especially being somewhat new in sobriety. So, and I know your family's watching; they love you, they support you. Your mom reaches out to me all the time, tells me how much she loves you.
I didn't know.
That's so awesome.
I didn't know her family was watching until
From
that
Japan.
comment. Yeah.
What time is it in Japan?
I don't know. It's late.
Someone
early.
Siri that and
it's
get back to us.
It's sometime that's not now. That's all I know.
They are probably laying in bed thinking, when's he going to get done so I could go back to sleep? Before we leave, will you just tell people what you told me about being a recovering atheist?
Yeah,
and looking out into the void?
Yeah, so the way I thought of my atheism when I entered recovery is kind of, I used to think that I knew the truth that other people didn't. And what I was really doing is looking into the void and the gaps of knowledge that everybody doesn't know. And I looked at it with nihilism. I looked at it and I said, there's nothing in that void. And the only difference for me in spirituality was looking into that same void with optimism and saying, there's something in there that's for me. That was the only switch that I made, and everything just started to follow.
Yeah. Man, that's good stuff. If you're watching right now and you've closed yourself off to the things of God, or you've closed yourself off to the spiritual, I don't know, man, hit this guy up because he knows what it's like. And maybe it's about looking out to the void and seeing something. And especially, listen, if you're struggling with the drink, you can't put down the drink or the drug, maybe your way isn't working. Maybe it's time to find a new way, or at least be open to a new way. Dude, thank you so much for being here tonight.
For sure.
For being part of this community. You too, Kiara. We love having you in this community. Thank you for sharing your story with us tonight.
Of course.
Love you, brother.
Yeah.
Glad you're here. All right, guys. The way we end here is with. I should scoot over a little bit, huh, Andrew? The way we end here is with sharing our heartaches together. Because here's another thing I know about this group of lovely misfits. You weren't created to carry these heavy burdens alone. Some of y'all carry such heavy burdens, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, if someone would just help me carry. Well, that's what this community's for. To help you carry it. You don't have to walk it alone. You weren't created for it. So just like celebrations, take 3 minutes. If you're online, put them in the comments. I get it. It can be awkward. It feels creepy. These people don't know me. What am I going to do? Put them in the comments, because here's what I know about this community. They are going to surround you with love and grace. You put that in the comments, I promise you people like Saman and Tammy and Lindsay and G-Dog might even comment on there. You never know. People are going to surround you with love and grace. That's my experience every single time it happens. So whatever burdens you're carrying for you, people struggling with addiction or watching loved ones battle with addiction or whatever it is you're struggling with in life. We have a prayer team here on site. We lift you all up in prayer, and we try to do encouragement and lifting up throughout the week. So it is your opportunity to get vulnerable, because something really powerful happens when you get vulnerable, and God always hears the cries of the people. So take 3 minutes and then we'll come back. Marilyn, wrap it up in the next few seconds, because we're back on with the community. And we're glad you're here. Lifting you up in prayers, Marilyn. Glad you're here, and I know it's been a lot. It's been a heavy few years. Glad you're here. D-Dog.
You get hugs.
Yeah, dude. Glad you're here. Oh, you got a power on the mic. It's on.
It's on.
All right. So, dude, you know how we do this thing.
This way, that
You're getting out of the camera. You got to go that way, right? Oh, you were right. Dude, what am I doing here? I act like it's my first Saturday. All right, man. Let's do this.
Kayla Winter. I'm just getting back on my feet after relapse, after having 14 months of sobriety. So thankful for this meeting. Kayla, your prayers are with you, and it's not a failure. It's a triumph to pick yourself back up. More prayers are sending out to you, and this community is with you.
There you go, Kayla. Glad you're here. Keep on going. Brian O'Brien. My aunt is back in the hospital again. She's had 2 surgeries this weekend, is doing better, but she's not out of the woods yet. Still looking at open heart surgery. If they can get infection in her bloodstream under control, prayers greatly appreciated. Brian, lifting up you, your family, your aunt, as she goes through this heart stuff. Yep. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Sherry.
Be gentle. That's my mom.
I'll do my best.
All right.
Pray for Carrie. Just texted me this week and let me know she got her 24-hour chip.
Yeah.
That's awesome. In
I
the same
texted
way,
her, by the way. Yeah.
24 hours is huge, and it's a day at a time.
Yeah. Carrie and I
prayers
are
are
going
for
to
you.
talk soon, actually. Thank you, Mama. Glad you're here tonight.
Love you, Mom.
From Florida. Gina says, I just want to lift up the Danielle Dick Forrest family tonight. Gina, I don't know what's going on, but we're lifting them up with you.
Amen.
Thank you for lifting them up.
Christy, continued prayers for Jen's brother, Doug. They are worried about an infection in his incision. Also prayers for a coworker whose husband was just found to have a brain tumor. They are in our prayers, and we lift them up for healing and love in that thing.
Yeah. Prayers for Doug and the
Amen.
family. Dan and Cindy Rapp, we ask for prayers for our family. Cindy, praying for, and Dan, I just assumed Cindy wrote that comment. Could have been Dan, but prayers for you and the family. Glad you mentioned it.
Stephen, prayers for my nephews. They lost their father 2 months ago due to a cardiac event. First Father's Day without him, and I know they could use the support. All the love and support and healing going out for you there. We lift you up for sure in that. It's never easy.
Yes. Let's do one more, shall we? Michelle says, please pray for healing. I've been struggling with depression and pain in my wrist and I assume back. Michelle, lifting you up in prayers. Glad you're part of this community. Glad you tune in from, I forget which state. Michigan. Every week you join us from Michigan. It's so good to have you here. Maybe one day we'll meet in person, but in the meantime, lifting you up in prayers for healing. Derek, thanks for being with me, brother. Love you too, dude. Glad you're part of this. All right, y'all, here's how we close in this community. Man, look at it outside. It's cool here in Denver, how badly did we need that? We got all kinds of rain. It feels like, feels like the Midwest a little bit with all this rain. And yet there's so much energy in here. Do y'all hear the kids? I love hearing the kids, but we need more space for them too, right? I love having the kids here. Love it. So I invite you to just open your hands. It's just a sign of openness. You're open to the things God is doing through you, in you, all around you. Find some quiet space in your heart. If you're watching online, find some quiet space in your literal space and in your heart. Take a big, deep breath. Invite the God of the universe in. And let's go out with a serenity prayer. If you don't know it, it's on the screen. And it goes like this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. My brothers and sisters, this week, may you practice not taking it personally. It might not have anything to do with you. You can stay centered. You can stay rooted. And remember, love always wins. So my brothers and sisters, go in so much grace and peace to you this week, and we will see you next time.
People ask me what my secret is. I just smile I gotta be